Well, after all this time, the NFL is back. And I mean back. With actual people in the stands. And it was great seeing the Rams game that night. Because it was, of course, the Rams and the Chargers are in their second season in SoFi Stadium, which is the brand new stadium that opened last season. It was this, I remember that was a story out here. There was this when the Rams, I think, about a couple years after the Rams returned to LA, and then when the Chargers moved to LA, the news was they were going to get a brand new it was going to be a brand new stadium in Inglewood, and it took a couple years to develop and build, and finally was finished in time for the 2020 season. Unfortunately, the pandemic happened. Of course, you can't predict pretty much anything, let alone a global pandemic. So, and it hit California harder than a lot of states. So, California was this state was extra cautious with the protocols here. So, that big stadium went the whole season with no fans, and considering that stadium was supposed to host the Chargers and the Rams, that's a grand total of 16 games with no people in attendance. So that game was a grand reopening of sorts, because a packed house of Rams fans got to see them blow out the Bears. It was a fun sight for Rams fans. It was definitely a fun sight for me, as it was something I needed after watching, well, most of the embarrassment that happened. Aaron Rodgers, what the hell happened? I pretty much know what happened. I could see it as I watched this game. I said it many times before. That man's head was not in the game. It wasn't. I still say the remnants of that chip he had on his shoulder dating back to the off season. I think dating back to that NFC Championship. The remnants of that chip he had on his shoulder was still there, and he still had his mind was still occupied with everything else. That and the fact that he hadn't taken the field since that game. They were contributing factors to what was a horrendous display. 133 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. It was a team effort. Such a terrible display. It was a team effort, but Rodgers just wasn't himself. That's not the GOAT I watched for about 10 years. But he'll get it together. He always does. He'll get it together. Of course, Trevor Lawrence played his first NFL game and got shelled in Houston. We got our first bit of overtime with the Bengals and the Vikings. That was fun. And it went to full 10 minutes, but ended with a field goal from the Bengals that won it. Ooh, it was fun. It was fun laughing. It's fun to laugh at the Vikings yet again. Oh goodness. But yeah, it's crazy. Nobody in NFC North won. That's going to be the only silver lining we Packers fans could take. That and the Bears are still a mess. But yeah, nobody from the NFC North won. So it's still a clean slate. Everybody's 0-1. And of course, I have to talk about how the week began. The Buccaneers celebrate their championship, and we were treated to a classic to start the season. Amari Cooper pleased several fantasy owners, myself included, because I had him and started him, and I got 40 points because of it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Buccaneers ended up winning 31-29, a very thrilling game. It was great to see Dak Prescott out there, coming back from his injury that kept him out the rest of last season. The Chiefs barely survived Cleveland. That was something. Cleveland's going to be a force. I said that before. They're going to be a force. And of course, the opening week ended with a crazy thrilling game. The Raiders and the Ravens. that went to overtime, and it was insane. The Raiders thought they had the game-winning touchdown, but it wasn't to be. He was out of bounds before he crossed the goal line, and then Carr throws the interception. Oh dear! So it looked like the Ravens going to win. All they had to do is get the field goal range, which isn't much when you have Justin Tucker. But the funny thing happened. Lamar Jackson coughed it up. He coughed it up, and the Raiders got the ball. They were originally going to kick the field goal, but they committed a delay in game, and John Gruden said, "You know what? The hell with it. Let's just chunk it," and chunk it they did, wide open. So, what an opening week! I think that's the best opening week I've ever seen in my lifetime. I've watched football for close to 30 years. That's the best opening week I've ever seen. I've never seen such pathos and such chaos and such insanity and such upsets. A lot of upsets in opening week. But yeah, so it was a fun week one. Not for me as a fantasy owner, because I'm in 9 leagues this year and I only won 3 matchups. But it's week one. It's early. Just like it's early for a lot of teams in the league. And yeah, so this weekend, well, I've enjoyed this weekend even with what happened to the Packers. It was just horrendous. And I was looking forward to that game. I thought it was going to be very close, because this was the Saints and the Packers going at it, and the team was lethargic. The Packers were just lethargic. It was a sickening sight, but that's going to be remedied. No way does Rodgers like that back-to-back weeks. But yeah. So it was fun. It was very fun. And it was a nice break from the bad skid with the Yankees, though. The Yankees have won back-to-back games now, so who knows how that's going to go. And it was also a break away from the fact that my Twitter account got suspended. And I've taken the time to deal with that, because unlike the first time where it was a little thing that shouldn't have been such a big deal, this really was my fault. I really kind of messed up. I couldn't handle the Yankee skid well. I took it out on somebody and really just didn't handle it well. And that had me kind of taking breathers a bit, and kind of focusing on my mental health a bit. So that's a serious thing. That is. You hear all the stories, but that's a very serious thing. So yeah, I'm dealing with that, and maybe I just need to chill off Twitter a bit before I even try to. I don't know if I can do this, but before I even try to get back on with another account, I don't know if I can. I guess I'm pretty much done there, which could be a bit of a breather for me. But yeah, so that's what's been going on with me personally. But as a football fan, it was a great week. It was a great distraction. And 1 week down, 17 to go. Remember, this is an extended season. It's like that for the rest of the way now. It's a 17-game season, 18 weeks. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be fun, and my proverbial seatbelts are fastened, because this is gonna be one hell of a ride. And what's next for week 2? Well, week 2 starts with an NFC East battle, Giants and Washington. Both teams looking for their first win of the season. The Rams coming off that big win on as far as the Sunday action, the Rams coming off that big win. Well, it's a big win. coming off that emotional big home win against the Bears. They traveled to Indy. The Niners narrowly avoided blowing a big lead against Detroit, but they held on to one. They go to Philly to face the Eagles. The Bills, the AFC's runners up, they lost to a Pittsburgh team that didn't really do well in the first half, and then looking to bounce back in a divisional game against the Dolphins. At speaking of Steelers, they'll host the Raiders in a battle of 1-0 teams. The Saints coming out that win against Green Bay, they go to Charlotte to face the Panthers. That's later today. The Cowboys face the Chargers. The Titans face the Seahawks. Russell Wilson, he really went off. He really did. This is my first year with him on fantasy. I've had him in a couple of leagues. I actually started him, and he just, he was a beast. The Bucks host the Falcons. The Sunday night game is the Chiefs and the Ravens. Battle between Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. And Monday Night Football is Monday Night Packers home opener against the Lions. Of course, both teams are 0-1 because the whole NFC North is 0-1 each. So, yeah, this is going to be a bounce back game for Rodgers. He'll be at home. He'll be at home on national TV, and it's a divisional opponent. So, yeah, I think we're going to see the GOAT that we're all used to. His head's going to be in the game. So anyway, that's some of what's in store for us in the second week of the season, and it's going to be an amazing ride. So that's my recap of opening week. If you like what you see, click like and subscribe, and a link to my story on Vocal about week 1 of this season will be featured in the description. So click that if you want to check that out. And I'll be back to talk baseball, to recap this past week in baseball action, heading into the final, 2 weeks of the season. And, of course, I'll be back to recap week 2 a little later next week. So, stay tuned.